Good morning. Welcome to Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace. Welcome to the soul of Sunday. We are Unitarian Universalists. Ours is a historic faith with a progressive theology. We affirm the worth and dignity of every being, and that we are all deeply interconnected. We are bound to one another, not by creed, but by covenant. And we are called to answer the call of love with open minds, open hearts, and open hands. Whoever you are, those of all nations, all creeds, all colors, all kinds of love, you are welcome here. As we gather, we acknowledge that Arlington Street Church occupies the ancestral homeland of the Massachusetts. By making this land acknowledgement, we recognize, honor, and affirm the sovereignty of all First Nations peoples. Dear ones, welcome. Welcome to our Zoomers and welcome to the congregation gathered in person. We are so happy and so proud to welcome the Boston Marathon runners and pit crews. Give me a wave, friends. We're so glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. Fabulous. Yeah, we're so proud of you. It's a special joy to welcome from New York, Andrew McPhail of Team Runner's World. Andrew, where are you, honey? Great. Welcome home. It's so great to see you. Welcome back to Boston. We're thrilled you're here. We're really excited about your race tomorrow. We have a special blessing for you folks coming up in just a few minutes. This morning, there are so many blessings, you won't even believe it. The pulpit flowers were given by Deb and Paratosh Kobere in celebration of Reeya Grace's dedication today. Thank you, friends. And what a joy to welcome Reeya's family in person and in the Zoom room. Our aunties, Sue and Chris, grandparents Sumita, Carolyn and Bruce, Uncle Stephen and Todd, cousins Jacob and Alana, friends Carrie and Raj and their families, and Reeya's favorite teacher, Kat, and her +1. Welcome to all of Reeya's fan club. Thank you to those of you who made John O'Connor's ordination last Sunday such a love fest. John and David are celebrating in Rome, and they'll be back in a couple of weeks. Today, thank you to Reverend Beth up here in the pulpit, and to our volunteers, our greeters and ushers, the tech team, the live chat coffee hour team, to Mark David Buckles, and our professional musicians and the Arlington Street Choir. Thank you, friends. Joining us in the pulpit this morning to talk about our May 4th Sparkly Spring Gala is our beloved Sarah Mady and her very special guest, Zeph.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah, and this is Zeph. He got fancy today, which is on theme for what we'll be talking about with our spring gala. So I have the honor of being here to talk about our gala, which is on May 4th, so just a few weeks from now. So my job is to encourage each and every single one of you to join us for what is shaping up to be a very, very fun event. So this is not the first time that I've stood up here and spoken to you about our annual fundraiser. I've done it a few times over the years for various events, from Indulge to Bingo. Typically, I'd stand up here and talk to you, doggy, all about the amazing auction items or the fun entertainment, or how every single dollar that we raise goes to keep this beautiful church and this beautiful community standing and continuing for years to come. And all of those things are true, but today, that is not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is how this is going to be a special evening to celebrate the one and only Reverend Kim. Yeah, I told her I was going to embarrass her. So for those who do not know, prior to the pandemic, we had an annual gala for over 10 years. And every single one of those galas had a very fun theme. It was circus, it was traveling the world, roaring 20s, you name it, we had it. So this year, when the committee was pulled together and we began planning, the theme was not coming to us. We every week would bring ideas and just wasn't landing, no one was exciting. And as life would have it, within a few days, weeks, a theme landed in our laps that was more perfect than anything we could have imagined or come up with on our own, which is celebrating Kim's retirement and her extraordinary legacy and impact. I personally cannot think of a better theme. So I think we can all agree that Reverend Kim has been the heart and soul of this congregation. And as her retirement approaches, this gala is our opportunity to thank her. So before I leave you, what I want to do is share with you Kim's 2 wishes for this event when she kicked us off, the planning committee. So first and foremost, let's support the church and raise as much money as we possibly can. There's a lot of work being done on this building, and she wants to leave it in the best places possible for years and years to come. So that's her wish number 1. Number 2, we have to dance the night away. She said, we can plan this however we want, structure the event however you want, but there must be dancing at the end of the night. There must be a dance floor. So let's make both of those things happen while also honoring her in the best way that we can. Let's dust off our dancing shoes. Let's put on our fanciest pants. We have a church we love to support. We have a wonderful human to honor. If you are able, if you are willing to make it, please join us. The link to buy tickets should be in the chat now or shortly, and we hope to see you on the dance floor. Thank you.
I didn't say that part. You know, I just want to take a moment. I think I saw Annie Rogers here. Annie, are you here? No, maybe not. Anyway, one of the most extraordinary DJs in the city is volunteering to come and spin for us that evening. So I really like to dance. I know a lot of you really like to dance. Sephi, we're going to dance. It's going to be great. And we'll have a lot of fun. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thanks to the gala team. For those of you who are new to Arlington Street, I want to say a very special welcome to you. Here comes Other Mother. There you go. If you are here in person, there are welcome cards in the pew racks. Please hand yours to an usher or drop it in the basket at the great doors as you leave. For those of you in the Zoom room, please fill out a connection card. The link is in the chat, and it includes the option to request the link to a recording of today's sermon. Since we cannot greet all of you in person after the service, Reverend Beth and I would love to follow up with a virtual hello, whether you have been coming here for years or today is your very first time at Arlington Street. Welcome home.
Good morning, friends, and welcome to Arlington Street. If you're here in person, there are printed copies of the order of service available from the ushers at the great doors. If you're on Zoom, the order of service will appear in the chat, or you can download it on the homepage at ascboston.org. As we begin our greetings this morning, I invite the Zoomers and those here in person with a device handy to please say hello in the chat and tell us where you're Zooming in from today. And now, Rich is going to turn the camera on the in-person congregation as we wave at each other as well as at our friends in the Zoom room. And all of you in the Zoom room can wave and smile back. This is always one of my favorite parts of the service. Hello, beautiful friends. Let's all engage that Arlington Street spirit of welcome that transcends physical distance as we greet one another heart to heart.
All right, here comes the baby dedication. I'll meet you right here. Oh, Reeya, you look like a princess. Come on over, friends. Chris, Sue, Nana, and Papa. So great. Good morning, beautiful girl. Great, great, great. A dedication is a blessing ceremony for infants or children as we welcome them into the life of the congregation. It looks a little bit like a baptism or a christening, but in the Unitarian Universalist tradition, we don't believe in original sin. Instead, we believe in original blessing. A dedication is the time when we formally celebrate that blessing. We affirm that every life is precious, every life, all our lives are a gift, a sacred trust and covenant with the beloved community. Our congregation was founded in 1729 on Boston's Long Lane, and in 1788, the leaders of the Commonwealth met in our church there to ratify the United States Constitution. Long Lane was renamed Federal Street in honor of that occasion. And then in 1861, this building was completed, and the congregation moved here to Arlington Street, bringing with them many things, including this blessing font. It's in two pieces, a silver bowl, which is inscribed, presented by the ladies of the Religious Society in Federal Street, 1805, and a wooden pillar carved with the biblical inscription, "Suffer the little children to come unto me." That passage concludes, "For such is the kingdom of heaven." With all the world, we celebrate the coming of new life. Our joy in this one, our love and our devotion to her. It is not enough that children be born, they must also be received, for the future of children and community alike depends on us. Reeya, how shall we welcome you into the world? We cannot express how happy you are that you have come. All the caresses of our eyes and hands cannot measure the fullness of our love. We cannot hold you close enough. We welcome you into the family of humankind. We welcome you into this community. In you, we all share a new life. In your life, our lives will be continued. May you have a healthy body. May you have the courage and grace to do whatever is required of you and what you most desire to do. May you have willingness to learn and passion to pursue the truth. May you be tender and fearless. May you love the beauty of the earth and all our creations. May you know the companionship of beloveds, the meanings of generosity and compassion and service, the love of many and the love of one above all others. And now we call upon your family and your friends to serve you and to nurture your growth. We are responsible for guarding your life, your freedom, and your opportunities. Today we think of the other children who will share the life of your generation, whose welfare is inseparable from your own. May we all help to make a more just and peaceful world for Reeya and for all whose lives are linked with hers. And your aunties Sue and Chris have a brief reading for you. Just hold it like an ice cream.
May angels guide you on your journey in life and sprinkle you with their love and light.
May you have the gifts of laughter and song and be filled with dreams that last all the days long.
May you live and care with kindness and grace and know within your soul courage and faith.
You will be wrapped in the warmth of your family and friends, and rays of love will shine on you without end.
We
love you, Reeya Grace.
Beautiful. This water is a symbol of life and of our connection with all living things. This flower is a symbol of life's unfolding and of love. Reeya, I touch you in blessing with this flower and this water. On your brow, that you may think freely and clearly. On your heart, that you may feel deeply and love deeply. On your hands, that you may serve the ideals of truth and beauty. And over your whole body, that you may come to realize the fullness of your unique individuality and of your divine humanity. For many years, our own Claire Humphrey, whose 2 children were dedicated and raised here among us, has been making a gift for each child we welcome to Arlington Street. Adeline Mady was dedicated in November of 2019. She's a big sister now. You just met her brother Zeph, who was dedicated last June. And Addie and Zeph and their moms, Sarah and Audrey, are going to bring up our gift to baby Reeya now. Oh, Addie, that is so sweet. Can you give that to the baby, sweetheart? Oh, such a big girl. Thank you. Thank you, sweethearts. By this service of dedication, we commit ourselves to the nurture of this child. May we be worthy guardians of her young life. May we build a community in which she will grow old, surrounded by beauty, embraced by love, and cradled in the arms of peace. And let the congregation say, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, friends.
Our opening hymn is Let Go by Dwayne Woods. The words are printed in your order of service and are available in the chat. I'm going to sing it once. You can hear how it goes, and then we'll all sing it together. It sounds like this. just when I stop worrying, wondering how the story ends, I let go and I let love lead the way. That's when things started happening, when I stopped looking at back then. I let go and I let love lead the way. I invite us to rise in body, rise in spirit. Let's sing together. Let go. Here's the start. Just when I stop. Just when I stop worrying, wondering how the story ends, I let go and I let love lead the way. That's when things started happening, when I stopped looking at back then. I let go and I let love lead the way. Let's all try that one more time. Just when I stop. Just when I stop worrying, wondering how the story ends, I let go and I let love lead the way. That's when things started happening, when I stopped looking at back then. I let go and I let love lead the way. Now I'm gonna sing a phrase. I just need you to sing it back to me. It goes like this. Let go, let love, 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 let go. Just when I stop worrying, wondering how the story ends, I let go and I let love lead the way. That's when things started happening, when I stopped looking at back then. I let go and I let love lead the way. Let love lead the way. Let love lead the way. Let love lead. Let love lead the way. Let love. Let love lead the way.
It is now time for our treasured ritual of sharing community candles of sorrow and joy. These candles were submitted on our website by the Friday evening deadline. If you didn't submit your candle and have a joy or a sorrow to share this morning, please type it in the chat. Zoomers are invited to light silent candles at home. Those in the sanctuary are invited to light a silent candle at the table up front to the right of the Gleason podium. In addition to sharing our sorrows and joys this morning, let's reach out to one another in the week ahead, staying connected. May these times remind us of how very precious this beloved community is. We need one another. Whether together or apart, may we stay very close. And now, in the spirit of invocation, let's join in singing Sanctuary. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat.
Some of us come today with heavy hearts. We open our hearts to you.
We have one candle of sorrow today from the Arlington Street congregation. A candle of deep concern for the people of Israel, Gaza, and Iran. May this latest terror be over. Let us pray for peace.
And some of us come today in joy. We share your joy.
A candle of joy for Dan Ivey for receiving Boston University's Perkins Award for Service at the university. Congratulations, Dan. From the Arlington Street congregation, a candle for our beloved Ann Carpenter and Dan Jaffe as Ann begins to heal from her third hip replacement. And we have complete faith that you'll be back on the boards in no time for your next opening night. From Queen Cheryl, a candle of gratitude to Vince and Janie in Nashville, who sent me a wonderful medallion in celebration of 13 years of sobriety. Though the pandemic was terrible, it had its gifts, one of which was making new friends on Zoom. I've been back attending church in person for a long time now, and am deeply touched that you remembered me across the miles with this special gift. I've proudly shown the medallion to many people, proud of sobriety and so happy to be brought to mind after all this time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Our final candle is from the Reverend John O'Connor. To all of you in the Arlington Street community, and especially to Reverend Kim and Reverend Beth, a very special candle of joy and deep gratitude for all of the love and support on full display at my ordination last week. And the music, wow. See you all back in church on the 28th. Congratulations, Reverend John, and safe travels to you and David. We love you so.
The sorrows and all the joys we hold in our hearts, we light a silent candle to remember and to rejoice. May the peace of this sanctuary enter into our hearts as we share a quiet moment together, breathing our prayers for ourselves, for one another, and for the world. Amen.
Let's join now in saying together the affirmation and covenant of this beloved spiritual community. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak our truths in love, and to help one another.
El amor es el espíritu de nuestra congregación y el servicio es nuestro regalo. Esto es a lo que nos comprometemos. Convivir en paz, hablar nuestras verdades con amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros. Our next hymn is Guide My Feet. It's number 348 in the gray hymnal or in your order of service. During the hymn, I'm going to invite those of you who are running tomorrow's marathon, your family members and special friends, marathon course volunteers, all the pit crew. Please meet Beth and me at the center of the center aisle.
Well, whether it's each of our own metaphorical journeys or a literal marathon, Guide My Feet uses the imagery of running a race to describe traveling the long road to justice, to meaning, and to greater communion with all that is holy. We're grateful today for all the ways we're moving ever onward towards greater purpose. I invite us to rise in body, rise in spirit, and let's sing hymn 348, Guide My Feet. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Guide my feet, guide my feet while I run this race.
Zoomers, will you please face in the direction of Boston? And will everyone here in person please turn in place to face the marathon team in the center? Let's offer them our blessings now, conveying it through our hands. With those of you closest to the center, just move on in and make contact with the people in the center by laying a light hand on their shoulders, on the back of the person in front of you. And those of you who are farther out, please lay a light hand on the shoulder or back of the person in front of them. We're going to create a great wheel with the marathon team as the hub and each of us as the spokes. It's really lovely. Thank you. And let's abide for a moment of silence now with just one sentence from the very first book of the 12th book of Hebrews. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Beloved marathon runners, may the road rise up to meet you, the wind be always at your back, and may the love of this great gathered company, which we now convey through our hands, give you strength, uplift you, and carry you across that finish line with great joy. Bless your feet and bless your hearts. Godspeed. And let the people say, amen. And runners, I'm going to invite you to stay here with me in the center for just a minute while everyone else returns to your seats. Thank you, sweethearts.
And let's sing once more in reflection, Guide My Feet. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. For I don't want to run. For I don't want to run this race in vain. One more time. For I don't want to run this race in vain.
That was a sermon. So beautiful. Thank you, friends. I'm on an Einstein kick. I'm in this strange position of understanding little to nothing of the science he loved, but cherishing the insights about life on Earth that he gleaned from that science. My quote of the week is his: "The most important decision we make is whether we believe we live in a friendly or hostile universe." It's a koan, a puzzle. Here's my conclusion. Whether or not the universe is friendly is up to us. Einstein is inviting us to believe what we will and to understand that everything comes from that choice and will inform absolutely everything else. What can make the universe feel a lot friendlier is really understanding that the nature of life on Earth is that everything is always changing. We want the bad stuff to stop and the good stuff to last forever, but that is just not how it works. And when we stop wrestling with what is, when we really accept that the pain of change is inevitable, we can turn our attention to cultivating compassion for ourselves and one another and making wise responses to what lies before us. This is the second of the Buddha's Four Noble Truths. To cling is to suffer. An old Zen teaching tale tells of two monks, one older, one younger, traveling together to a neighboring temple. They come to the banks of a creek with a strong current, and a young, beautiful woman is standing at the edge. She asks if they would help her cross to the other side. Gallantly, the older monk lifts the woman onto his back and carries her across the creek. He sets her down, they bow goodbye, and the monks continue on their journey. An hour passes in silence and without a word between the monks, and then another hour and another, and finally, the younger monk can't contain himself 1 minute longer. As monks, he says, we are not permitted to touch a woman. How then could you carry that woman on your back? And the older monk replies, brother, I set that woman down many miles ago. Why are you still carrying her? To cling is to suffer. St. John of the Cross prayed, Lord, spare me visions. This wasn't just a prayer to live life on life's terms. The temptation of visions of a sweet and spiritually elevated life is mighty. But wanting things to be different only adds suffering to pain. Pain, says Buddhist teacher Sylvia Boorstein, is inevitable. But suffering is optional. Sylvia once told me that she found it entirely probable that enlightenment was marked by being able to say in any moment, well, this isn't what I want, but it's what is. So, okay. If that's enlightenment, some days it feels a long way off. But we can aspire to that. Okay. To cling is to suffer. What the Buddha was talking about was learning to let go, especially facing each hard thing with the willingness not to attach ourselves to it, but to let the pain be, to give it its due, and let it go. Sylvia Boorstein had a friend named Rana, whose grandmother feuded with her daughter, Rana's mother, for 30 years. They didn't speak. And when her grandmother was very old, her memory waning, she asked Rana, do you remember why I'm angry with your mother? Rana did remember, but decided not to give it air. Do you remember? She asked her grandmother. No, I don't remember, she said, but I remember I'm angry. To cling is to suffer. Years ago, American Tibetan Lama Surya Das gave me a chapter of a book he was working on about suffering and the end of suffering. He didn't use the words craving, fixation, or attachment. He went right to the source and used the word tanha. Tanha, it's a Pali word, that ancient Burmese language spoken by the Buddha, and it is translated as overweening thirst. Tanha, a pernicious cycle of demanding, resisting, clinging. I love it because the idea that all our suffering begins with unquenchable thirst is so visceral. It's so accessible. Surya explained that not clinging doesn't mean indifference or complacency. It means being more even-handed and centered and seeing the big picture, having more perspective. He writes, we all like some things and don't like others. We could benefit from cultivating more detachment so to be less invested in personal preferences, leaving room for inner peace and balance. We may still have subjective preferences, but don't necessarily have a drama queen tantrum when things don't work out as we would have liked. He continues, let's talk about relinquishing attachment in the positive sense, transferring our attachment to higher, deeper, more meaningful and enduring goals, values, purposes. Letting go and being more accepting, spacious and gracious, open hands, open heart, open mind actually works. He says this more equanimous, generous, collaborative approach goes a long way toward relieving a lot of the tension, stress, and friction that generates the energy of conflict and confusion. The universe feels friendlier. All of us are faced with navigating that razor's edge between apathy and clinging, that which divides indifference from passion. So how do we do it? Psychologist Eileen Strauss-Cohen writes, as humans, we're pre-programmed to avoid danger or anyone who has proven untrustworthy and to remember negative experiences so that we can prevent them. So letting go of a bad experience or forgiving someone who harmed us goes against our instincts. More often than not, it is wise to listen to our instincts. But if they're keeping us trapped in a place that doesn't allow us to escape our suffering, we can choose to let go. Dr. David Hawkins wrote the book, Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender. The big picture of letting go, he says, involves being aware of a feeling, letting it come up, staying with it, and letting it run its course without wanting to make it different or do anything about it. As I read his words, his guidance, I'm going to invite you to call to mind something you'd like to let go. Maybe start with something relatively easy. A parking ticket, someone beating you to a seat on the bus. Let's try this. Call to mind your situation and just simply let the feeling be there. Allow yourself to have the feeling without resisting it, venting it, fearing it, condemning it, moralizing about it. Just drop your judgment and see that it is just a feeling. And you just be with that feeling. Surrender all your efforts to modify it in any way. Let go of wanting to resist it. Resistance is what keeps the feeling going. So when we give up resisting or trying to modify the feeling, it will shift and be accompanied by a lighter sensation. A feeling that is not resisted will disappear as the energy behind it burns off. So just note your resistance. And let the feeling come up. Let the reaction to having the feeling in the first place go. And as you let go, just ignore all your thoughts. Just stay focused on that feeling, not on the thoughts. The thoughts are merely rationalizations of the mind to try to explain the presence of the feelings. Thoughts are endless and self-reinforcing. They only breed more thoughts. Just stay with the feeling. Good. I promise it will change. And as you explore the possibility of freedom, as your curiosity gets the best of you, you will notice that tanha, that thirst, dissipating. Dr. Hawkins believes that all negative feelings are associated with fear of the survival of our ego. So maybe we let go of something and it comes back. That's okay. It just means there's more to surrender. Rilke says, just keep going. No feeling is final. When we unhook, we can feel ourselves breathing more easily. Hawkins writes, by continuously letting go, it is possible to stay in that state of freedom. Feelings come and go, and eventually we stop identifying with them. Perhaps we thought we were the victim of our feelings, or we thought they were necessary for our survival, but they are not. We are not, and they are not. In his book, Food for the Heart, the great Thai forest monk and teacher Ajahn Chah paints a grim picture of the decision not to let go. He likens it to weighing ourselves down with a heavy rock and carrying it with us wherever we go. Eventually, we've carried it for so long, it's become a part of us. We can't imagine laying it down. The idea is frightening or unimaginable. But to be truly free, we have to lay down the rock, set down the woman. As you well know, my mother, Kay, was a difficult person. For many, many years before she moved to memory care, Cam and I lived 3 miles away from her and increasingly helped her to stay in her home. Our friends couldn't believe it. After so much terrible behavior, how could we possibly become her caregivers? Cam did it because she's a saint. I did it because given the choice between bitterness and letting go, I chose freedom. I also did it because on a meditation retreat, I experienced a profound insight. This was at the Barry Center for Buddhist Studies here in Massachusetts, and I'll bring you there now. On the first evening, 75 of us take a vow of silence. Additionally, we vow not to read, write, or look at one another. Next, we memorize the 4 lines that so many of you now have memorized as well, a 2,500-year-old gift from the Buddha in direct translation from his teachings on loving kindness. May you be free of danger. May you have mental happiness. May you have physical happiness. May you have ease of well-being. And then we begin repeating the phrases in our minds over and over and over. May I, may you, may they, may we, may all beings have ease of well-being. We are told that a Tibetan nun imprisoned by the Chinese government survived torture and solitary confinement on the knowledge that somewhere in the world, in every moment, someone was saying metta, saying the loving kindness phrases for her and for her jailers. I'm all in. 6 solid days of loving kindness meditation. The first wake-up gong sounds at 5:15. Seated meditation begins at 5:45, and at 6:30 it's time for breakfast. Breakfast is followed by an hour of walking meditation. And then it's back to sitting, punctuated only by light meals, a 1-hour talk by one of the retreat leaders each evening, and a 2-hour work period for which my assignment is to help wash the lunch dishes. Day after day is just this, all in silence. Seated meditation, walking meditation, seated meditation until the final evening sitting ends at 10. And the metta phrases, over and over and over. May you be free of danger. May you have mental happiness. May you have physical happiness. May you have ease of well-being. On the second morning, we've been meditating for perhaps 2 hours when we're instructed to choose a living benefactor, a teacher for whom we feel gratitude, and to say metta for them, sending our loving kindness. Unbidden, my mother, still living then, surfaces in my quiet mind. She gave me life. She has been a soul-crushing teacher for my beloved younger sister and me. I'm sitting on my meditation cushion absolutely still, and my mind is lit up like a Christmas tree. Do I really want to spend the entire day with whatever might come up about my mother? No. Yes. If I'm really going to make something of this retreat, if I'm really going to experience something transformative and wake up, is there any other living benefactor whom I might invoke at this time? Yes. No. My mother had grand mal epilepsy. Sitting there in the early morning light with my yes, no hanging in the wintry air of the meditation hall, the woman behind me fell to the floor with a familiar thud, a seizure. And as half a dozen of us leave our cushions to help, my heart is pierced with a visceral understanding of the kind of raw fear that consumed my mother when she sees there was no one there to help her but a child. I am flooded with a profound sense of compassion, an opening to the possibility of laying down my sadness, my anger, my shame, my guilt, laying the burden down and letting go. And when I return to my cushion, my mind is clear and focused. Over and over, I repeat the loving kindness phrases for my mother. May you be free of danger. May you have mental happiness. May you have physical happiness. May you have ease of well-being. In place of thirst, freedom. Beloved spiritual companions, it is entirely possible that the most important decision we make is whether or not we live in a friendly or hostile universe. To thirst, to cling, is to suffer. And here on the razor's edge, dividing indifference from passion, we can choose not to add suffering to pain. May we put down the woman. May we lay the burden down. May we be free. Amen.
That was exquisite. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Youngju, Mark David, and to all of our choir. Just beautiful. Friends, Arlington Street is entirely self-sustaining. It's up to us. And our generosity continues to be astounding. Thank you for your commitment to our staff, our building, and our beloved spiritual community. Each Sunday, we share our collection plate with a partner in our mission of love, service, justice, and peace. This month's beneficiary is the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. The sisters are great and generous friends of Arlington Street. As clown nuns, their ministry champions education, entertainment, and activism. Marathon weekend is one of my absolute favorite times of the year in Boston. I take great delight in watching the city come together to support thousands of people who are taking on the grueling endeavor of running 26.2 miles. The sheer exuberance of love made manifest always brings me to tears. During last year's marathon, I was rounding the corner on Hereford Street when a huge cheer erupted from the crowd. I scanned the road thinking it must be someone famous or maybe a particularly good costume. But what I saw was an exhausted runner who had just collapsed. The crowd went wild. It felt like our hearts and our cacophony of support were sustaining this spent woman just as much as the two runners who jumped in to carry her that last mile. I am so grateful that here at Arlington Street, we do exuberant love made manifest year around. I'm thinking of Vincent Genie surprising Queen Cheryl with a medallion to celebrate her 13 years of sobriety. Of Marie making each of us in the chat feel seen and loved every Sunday. Of Barbara visiting Fishy in the hospital every day, and Connie driving her home. Thank you for all the ways you bring your whole hearts to uplifting and upholding one another in this spiritual community. Please take a moment now and to join me in giving to sustain our beloved Arlington Street. You can give online at ascboston.org or check the order of service for instructions for how to give via QR code, Venmo, or text message. You can also mail a check to the church or use the envelopes in the pews, which can be given to the ushers as they come through momentarily with collection plates. Thank you for your generosity.
There was a Cape Town man used to plow and sing. He loved that mule and the mule loved him. And when the day got long, as it does about now, I'd hear him singing to his muley cow, calling, "Come on, my sweet old girl." I'd bet the whole damn world we're gonna make it, yeah, to the end of the road. Singing hard times ain't gonna rule my mind. Hard times ain't gonna rule my mind. Bessie, hard times ain't gonna rule my mind no more. said it's a mean old world, heavy indeed. That big machine is just a picking up speed. And we're supping on tears, and we're supping on wine. We all get to heaven in our own sweet time. So come on, you Asheville boys, turn up your old time noise. Kick till the dust comes up from the cracks in the floor. Singing hard times ain't gonna rule my mind, brother. Hard times ain't gonna rule my mind. Hard times ain't gonna rule my mind no more. But the Cape Town man, he doesn't plow no more. I seen him walking down to the Superette store. Guess he lost that knack, and he forgot that song. Woke up one morning and the mule was gone. So come on, you ragtime kings, and come on, you dogs, and sing, and pick up that dusty old horn and give it a blow. Playing hard times ain't gonna rule my mind. Hard times ain't gonna rule my mind. Sugar, hard times ain't gonna rule my mind no more.
That's certainly the best rendition of Hard Times I've ever heard. Thank you, Beck. Thank you, Mark David. Friends, here's what's happening this week. There are gatherings in the Arlington Street Zoom room for loving kindness meditation, poetry, yoga, and writing. If you like to sing, the Arlington Street Choir welcomes you to come and rehearse in person on Thursday evenings. No experience is necessary. This afternoon, there's a fundraiser for Only a Child, the youth mission in Guatemala founded by our own George Ledger. The event starts at 1:30 at the American Legion in Newton, and tickets can be purchased at the door. Every Wednesday, Reverend Kim and I host a lively tea party with a conversation prompt. This week, we'll be sharing our answers to the questions: what are your experiences of wonder? How have they changed you? I'd love to see you there. And just to get this on your radar, our nominating committee is hosting an open hybrid meeting next Sunday after church to share ways that you can get more involved in the life of this congregation. For all these offerings, information and Zoom links are available at ascboston.org. To attend the gatherings, you don't have to be a member. You don't have to turn on your video or talk if you don't want to, and they're all free. Following today's service, everyone is welcome to join the virtual coffee hour. If you'd like to participate, answer yes to the breakout room invitation that will appear on your screen. If you're here in person, we'll gather in the Honeywell Chapel for a live chat coffee hour through the leather door just to the right of the pulpit. Thanks to all of you who joined in today's service and to all those who made it possible. Remember, we are all in this together. I love you.
Thanks, Beth. Our closing hymn is Glory, Glory, Hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. The words are available in the chat and in the order of service and in the hymnal. I invite us to rise in body, rise in spirit, and let's sing together, Glory, Glory, Hallelujah. I'll call out the verses as we go in case you want to just cast your eyes up and around instead of staring at a piece of paper, which sometimes can be a little nicer. 1, 2. Glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. 1, 2, 1, 2. Glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Glory, 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 hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Feel like shouting, hallelujah, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Feel like shouting, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Life is sweeter, so much sweeter, since I laid my burdens down. Life is sweeter, so much sweeter, since I laid my burdens down. I feel like dancing, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Feel like dancing, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Love is shining all around me, since I laid my burdens down. Love is shining all around me, since I laid my burdens down. Glory, 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 hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Amen.
Before our benediction, I invite those of you in the Zoom room to please reach out your hands and touch the sides of your square. And those of you in the sanctuary to please raise your hands, palms out, and let us send loving kindness to the people to your left and to your right. Send loving kindness to the person on either side of you and to the people on either side of them. Send out love into this beloved spiritual community and feel it coming back to you. Love is the spirit of this congregation. And now for our benediction, I invite you to put your hands over your hearts in namaste. I bow to the divine in you. Adapted from Canadian singer-songwriter Farron. By our lives, we are spirit. By our hearts, we are a people. By our eyes, we are open. And by our hands, we are whole. Let us keep this faith, beloveds, and pass it on. The service begins when the service ends. Bless your hearts. I love you. Amen.
Your people
Please visit ascboston.org for more information about this historic Unitarian Universalist congregation. Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace.